There is an old Chinese story that doesn't give you advice. It doesn't shout a moral. It simply places a quiet question in your mind and lets it echo. It begins with a man named Zhuangzi. He was not a king, not a warrior, not a merchant. He was a philosopher, someone who spent his life watching the world and watching his own thoughts. One night, after a long day of walking and talking with students, Zhuangzi returned to his small home. The lamp was low, the air was warm. Outside, the world was silent except for insects singing in the grass. He sat by the window for a moment, not sad, not happy, just heavy. The heaviness of being human, the mind that never fully stops. The thoughts that keep asking, what is real? What matters? What am I supposed to become? Eventually, his eyelids grew heavy. He lay down on a simple bed, and sleep took him like a slow tide. In his dream, Zhuangzi became a butterfly. Not like a butterfly, not pretending, he was a butterfly. The weight of his body vanished. His worries vanished with it. He felt wings, thin, delicate, perfect, moving without effort. He floated through a garden as if the air itself was holding him up. Everything was bright. The sky looked cleaner. The flowers were enormous, like colorful mountains. He could smell sunlight in the petals. He could taste morning dew on the edge of a leaf. He drifted past branches and felt the world move gently around him. And in that dream, the strangest thing was this. He did not miss being human. He did not remember his name. He did not remember his plans. There was no past, no future, only motion and color and a quiet joy that needed no explanation. In that dream, he didn't think, I am Zhuangzi dreaming. He thought nothing at all. He was free. Then the dream ended. Zhuangzi woke up. The room was dim. Gray light pressed against the walls. The air felt heavier. The insect song outside had changed. He blinked and stared at the ceiling, and for a moment he felt unsettled, not because he forgot who he was, but because the dream had felt completely real. He sat up slowly, and he did something very human. He looked at his hands. He turned them over. He flexed his fingers, as if checking, is this real? Am I awake? His hands looked ordinary, warm skin, small lines, the quiet proof of a life. He whispered, I am Zhuangzi. But the question rose inside him like mist. When I was the butterfly, I felt real. And now as Zhuangzi, I also feel real. So which one is true? He stepped outside into the early light. His students were already awake, gathering water, preparing tea, sweeping the ground. One of them noticed his distant expression. Master, the student asked, did you sleep poorly? Zhuangzi didn't answer right away. He stood still, watching a small butterfly flutter past the garden wall. Then he said calmly, Last night I dreamed I was a butterfly. The student smiled politely, thinking it was just a dream. But Zhuangzi continued, his voice quiet and strange. In the dream, I was truly a butterfly. I flew without effort. I lived without worry. I did not know I was Zhuangzi. A student laughed softly. Master, it was only a dream. Zhuangzi turned and looked at him. Was it? He asked. And then he said the line that has survived for thousands of years. Now I do not know, am I Zhuangzi who dreamed he was a butterfly, or am I a butterfly dreaming that I am Zhuangzi? The student stopped smiling, because that question isn't a riddle, it's a mirror. One student frowned. Master, why does it matter? Zhuangzi smiled slightly. Because you believe you are only one thing, he said. You cling tightly to your name, your role, your status. You say, "This is me," and you defend it like a fortress. He walked slowly through the garden. "Yet your mind changes every day," he said. "Your mood changes, your opinions change, even your personality changes depending on who is watching." He paused and looked at the student. "Tell me," he said softly, "how can something that changes so easily be your true self?" The student didn't know how to answer, so Zhuangzi continued. "In the dream, the butterfly did not worry about reputation. It did not measure its worth. It did not rehearse conversations. It did not fear the future. It simply lived." "Humans suffer," he said, "because they hold tightly to identity, tightly to control, tightly to the labels they wear, and those labels become a prison." He looked at his students and named the prison clearly, as if speaking to people in another century, too. Some people cling to successful. Some people cling to failure. Some people cling to their job title, their salary, their relationship status, their social media image, their past mistake, their family expectations. And they forget that these are only masks the world recognizes, not the whole truth of the person underneath. Another student asked, "Then what should we do, Master?" Zhuangzi picked up a fallen leaf and held it between his fingers. "Do not become careless," he said, "but become lighter. Do your work, love your people, live your life, but don't build a cage out of your labels." He let the leaf fall and watched it drift down. "Sometimes you are serious. Sometimes you are playful. Sometimes you are strong. Sometimes you are fragile. Sometimes you are wise. Sometimes you are confused. All of it passes through you, but none of it is the whole of you." The students stood quietly because in that moment they weren't receiving information. They were receiving relief, like someone had loosened a tight knot inside the chest. Zhuangzi poured tea and spoke softly. "When you wake up from a dream, you say, 'It was only a dream.' But how do you know this life is not another dream with heavier rules?" He smiled gently. "The wise do not obsess over the boundary between dream and waking. They simply notice that everything is changing, and they stop clinging." So here is what Zhuangzi's butterfly can teach us today. You don't have to destroy your identity. You don't have to run away from your life. But you can stop treating your current version of yourself like a permanent prison. Stop saying, "This is who I am," as if it can never change. Because the truth is, you are not a fixed object. You are a living process, a flowing experience, like a butterfly passing through a garden. And when you finally understand that, you become lighter, not because life becomes easy, but because you stop carrying unnecessary weight. So tonight, if your mind feels heavy, remember the butterfly, not as a trick, not as a riddle, but as a gentle reminder. You are more flexible than you think, more mysterious than you believe, and you do not have to cling so tightly to be real.